Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile. We are playing in the Fall of Oriath. And also in the Harbinger League, because there's just so many names for what we're playing now. A Dark Pact Necromancer is, of course, the build we're playing. Speaking of Necromancers, maybe summon our minions across the pond here. Last episode we took out the Goat God Aberoth and the Puppet Mistress Rislatha. Next up is gonna be going for the big fish. The Brine King himself. Ooh, Desecrate and Bone Offering at the same time. On our way there, I hope to run into the group of uniques that belong to this area. Because of course we do have an achievement for murdering them. But so far, there's just a whole lot of monkey business. Parasitic monkey business that is, but still. Monkeys. Okay. Let's continue along the road here. More acolytes. Yet another Quicksilver Flask. I believe we've been rather lucky with the drops for those, though obviously if this were to be one of the first ones it would be a bit late. But I think we've found about 4 or so now in the entire playthrough. The Fox, a level 20 gem, if you get all the pieces. So the journey to the Brine King leads us past a couple of familiar locations, and now that I have played through this content a couple more times, it feels immense power. Lovely. It feels less annoying than it did the very first time, but probably one of the reasons for my annoyance was that it was just way too late, because I did try to push through. Ooh, hello there. The animal pack. Those were fire art. Okay, so the animal pack was the unique we were going after. Or I thought uniques, but guess it's just one. Okay, and that leads us to town. And there's all kinds of traps here that launch burning arrows, so let's not go to town. Let's try to walk around here a little bit. We're gonna go to the ship graveyard, so let's try running through Merveil's cave. That seems maybe like a better plan, because whomever is in town there, they don't really like strangers. Southern Forest, enter from the top, leave via the bottom. And of course there's a whole bunch of corrupted monkeys here, as well as some of these boar and stag tribe people. And a Haku, standing close to the ruins of a tower that I don't particularly remember. But I'm sure it's all fine. Another elemental reflector that we just don't care about. That's only 16 to the stats, that's really not all that much. Okay. Let's go down. I think we cleared most of the enemies and we'll just expect to get ambushed yet again. There's a spirit here and it needs to be taken out. Okay, we can do that. Most of the time you get plenty of time. So take the opportunity to murder things. It's a level 50 area here. That means the upside, outside, upstairs, whatever you want to call it, area is going to be 49. I'm 52, so I'm only 3 levels over leveled for the area. And there's going to be a couple more levels for the rest of the content. And there we are, the exit. The time pressure in these missions, it's mostly for if you're really slow or just really taking your time. But in Haku missions, I don't remember the last time where the time limit was actually relevant, or where things got close, where I really had to make choices I didn't want to make. Ooh, hello there, Hollow Skull, the willing host. Okay, he's doing quite some damage, but nonetheless, it's rather dead. And there's a number of parasites around here. I believe Hollow Skull was bugged at some point. Probably closer to a launch, because I think I saw it in the patch notes and also on Reddit some complaints about it. So that is one of the upsides of being a slightly slower player, because that means you basically get to follow after the wave of bug fixes hit the content, rather than being the one that discovers most of the bugs. What's in here? Items are fully linked. Now that is, of course, potentially
an orb of immense power.
Very useful. It explodes, so let's take a measured step back. And then we get a 3-linked boot blade, and that's all that's relevant here. Okay, here is the waypoint, and then cavern of anger. You know what? Let's murder that thing, then empty your pockets, and then push forward. Let's see. Most of these things are currency. Ooh, that is a prophecy coin. Prophecy coin we can turn into prophecies.
Welcome.
The brutal
In a
enforcer.
society that values violence, the violent rise through the ranks like oil through wool.
You will track down a powerful Blackguard elite who will drop a unique item when slain. I believe it might be a little too early in the game for Blackguard elites, but at some point they'll show themselves. Caverns of Anger.
The Brine King. His time has almost come. Then hope will be... I will be gone. Please, take the black flag. It once fluttered from the mast of the Black Crest, Whalem Roth's ship. Throw it into the flames of the beacon. It's your only chance of reaching me, of turning this tide. The king can't keep secrets like this from me any longer. It's just the way of things. Find me, please, before...
Splish! And we picked up a flag, and we're gonna summon the Black Crest. Oh, there's one thing that is worth looking at. I do think this is nicely done. Some of the new water in effect. Obviously that way we can't go, but luckily there is a way forward. And there's more infested crawlers over here. And a skeleton totem shrine thing. That's of course fitting for our build. And hello there, Brine Crack. A few are probably on the list as well. Lovely. Brine Crack is no longer on the list. Hello there, Ghosty. That's a dead end, so yeah, you're gonna die. Oh, I say that, then Ghost still gets away. No, no, no. Aha, murdered it. Diamond Flask, some Spectral Corsairs, Sirens. And our zombies went up a level. That's probably on the other side, different height, all across the wall. Or did it just squarely fall into the wall? Okay, this Diamond Flask went into the wall. That is slightly less than useful. Just glad it's not something that was actually useful or relevant to the build. But a bit more upset if it were a Sulfur Flask. Guess I'm still looking for one.
Of alchemy.
And another level. So for now, let's focus on increasing our minions' life. Of course, all the minion life we give them turns into more damage when we sacrifice them. And once again, Haku is there to greet us. And Harbinger. Goodbye, Haku. Hello, warrior. Harbinger. And boom, gone. Let's see. Chaos Shard, Regal Shard, Annulment. Haven't seen many of those. Another Ancient Shard, Binding Shard, and then things get a little more common. So I think half of my army ended up on the other side of the wall. Not quite engaging with the enemies, but also not quite dying to the enemies. It's a little odd. The minion AI definitely leaves a little bit to be desired. They don't really seem to have a sense of self-preservation, nor a sense of my preservation. Basically just attack things when it's really convenient and when there really is not much else to do. I guess though there's something to know, a skill element to playing a Minionmancer in being able to predict what kind of silly things the AI is gonna do and then account for it and then steer your minions to do what you want to do anyway. Let's not get hit by the lightning balls. Here, have yourself some skellies and some chaos. And gone you are. And then 8 timed exits, of course. Of course, of course. We do keep triggering our cast and damage taken setup because we are taking a decent chunk of damage. Assuming the side exit's gonna be over there. And most of the infested mobs that die, they do drop their very own parasite that will eagerly look for something else to corrupt or possess. Next way, the beacon, which has a waypoint and it is pretty filled up, so let's go back. I am carrying the flag of the Black Crest, so that might get some form of response out of Lily. Though she's been awfully silent on most lore related bits, I wouldn't be surprised if she does remain silent. Ah, she doesn't. Cool.
You've got the black flag from your grandfather's ship. Ah, the Black Crest were the most formidable ship to ever sail the seas. Yet now it's a hulk of rotted wood and bone, mouldering away in that forsaken graveyard. But why is it there? You don't think that Mervale... Never. I wouldn't even think it. No Roth would ever fall victim to that tentacled sea hag. Wayland must be out there somewhere. Yeah, castaway, that's it. For now, you'll be off to safe passage to the Brine King's Reef, and there ain't no ship going to get you there faster than the Black Crest. So as the only Roth present and accounted for right now, I hereby give you permission to burn that flag and the beacon. Might as well see if there's some truth in that old legend about it resurrecting the wrecks of Roth's past and other less notable vessels. Maybe when this is all done, I'll take the Black Crest for myself and sail out in search of me grandfather. He's too hardy an old barnacle to kill, so he'll be out there, somewhere. Yeah, I know the Brine King. What pirate doesn't? Drown me fair share of mutineers under the full moon, to keep the old king's slumber when storms threaten, you see. If he's been roused from the depths, it'd be nothing but ill tidings for those of us with air in our lungs. He'll be getting back to raping and eating us ocean-going folks soon enough, stealing wombs in which to spawn his slithering offspring. Aye, that blasphemy is out there somewhere right now, I'd wager. And to think there'd still be folks needing transport from Oriath. More commissions to be had. But a lecherous sea god, now, that complicates things.
Oh, we do aim to uncomplicate things.
What? Still alive, are we? If Nessa thinks you can use that old rag of a banner to rustle up a phantom ship, who am I to argue? I don't need to understand how she comes back to us, only that she can. Farewell.
Be careful what you wish for, mister. Sin, do we have to say something about the struggles of the mortals? Not that, but the Brine King is, of course, right up your alley.
Old salty Sogoth, pickled in a thick brine of ignominious carnality. Vanity was Sogoth's downfall, and I think he grew his shell just to shield himself from the shame of it all. It's time he sailed out to that reef refuge of his, cracked his carapace, and dined on the divine meat beneath. When I first met Sogoth, he was a seafaring chieftain, the beloved leader of a prosperous and sprawling fisher tribe. It was the curse of legacy that made him into the blasphemous Brine King, an endless madness of propagation and disappointment, all in the vain hope of recreating himself. Fishwife after fishwife he took, and every one of them spawned a monster. A truly noble king would have surrendered his kingdom to cleaner blood. Alas, although Sogoth had many fine qualities, generosity was not one of them.
So, him turning into some kind of fish thing turned out to be rather appropriate. So let's continue our quest. The area around here, the beacon, especially the bits more towards the sea, definitely remind me a lot of the beach map, which I really enjoy. So this is a nice place to run through. It's almost like you're playing in early maps without actually playing in early maps. That's a little bit of a taste, a hint of what's to come. And there we are, fishies, water elementals, not quite fishies, but they're fish adjacent. Lovely water. And some corrupted crabs that spawn parasites when you kill them. I don't particularly remember if there was a unique in this area or not. Probably is one, given that most areas do have their own unique. But for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. Let's have a look at the challenge list. Bundle of Woe. Oh, that name doesn't really tell me much either. Bundle of Woe would be an awesome name for one of the tapestries in Act 3, of course. Oh, the Solaris Temple tapestries. And then we have some Harbinger Kin, then we have the Harbinger himself, and more Harbinger summons. And there is our reward. So at this point, now it's a level 49 area. Harbingers are still not even worthy of notice. It's just free currency shards. So definitely hope that the devs have planned something more spectacular for the Harbinger League to see if they can spice it up a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting. Because it is too bad that an awesome expansion like the Fall of Oriath
Orb of fusing
is no sharing the patch and therefore sharing in attention with a league that is so forgettable or ignorable. Of course, it doesn't have to be as overwhelming as, say, a Breach League or a Perandus League or Invasion League or something like that. But a little bit more noticeable would not be a bad thing. Let's see, some more purple water elementals. And they are no more. Somehow walking a path with pillars on the sides towards some staircases and having just skeletons all around really reminds me of Titan Quest. It's a classic in the action RPG genre. Slightly newer than Diablo 2. Much older than Path of Exile and Diablo 3, of course. It was a contemporary of Diablo 2. But no, those ruins that always had skeletons pop up from the floor. It's something very iconic for that game, or at least something that really stuck out in my mind as really typical for that game. So here we're just staying in the area of the thing in order to make it move. It's very much like a end game labyrinth relic. Well, not relic, but trap sort of thing. One of the advantages of playing a minion build is of course that the minions can deal with the enemies and I can focus on the trap. For the ability build that is slightly more difficult. There's an ignition switch, but we need a second one of these fuel sources. And I believe we might have killed things. Oh, and something has been touched by a ghost. Just felt like exploding all of them. And we need more strength in order to level up our Life Leech gem. Leveling up Life Leech not strictly required. It simply increases the bonus amount of life you get for each leech stack. So technically it means you need less leech stacks in order to max out. And now we can hit the ignition switch. And then I believe we can then... gonna say hit down to the beach, but might be that we have to go to the... Oh, no, we still need to touch the beacon to burn the flag. Yes. Talk to Waylon Roth. Yay, there is the black crest. Hello.
So you're the shite that's gone and summoned me to the beacon, eh? Damn it all. Rules is rules, and now I'm bound to you. The legendary Waylon Roth, captain of the Black Crest, cursed to be the undead slave of some lowly outcast by the looks of it. You got an ass for a brain in a tick skull of yours? Of course I'll ferry you to the Brine King's bloody reef. I'd be wanting to discharge this accursed duty and get back to me afterlife. It's not right. Not natural being above water without a beating heart in me chest. So get yourself aboard and be quick about it.
Aye, sir. Let's sail to the Brine King's reef.
Don't think I'm going to be bawling and chaining after your sorry ass once our journey to the reef is done. Right, well on with it then. Go find yourself a salty sovereign to dethrone. Fool's errand, if you ask me. Old Brine will gut you like a fish, but at least with you dead in the water, I'll be free to get on with my own voyage. So off you go, matey.
He's rather cheerful.
Lord of Salt and Scales, what we used to call him. They say when the gods got the boot from our lands, that monstrosity went to sleep down in the deep. Dreamed the kind of dreams that cause all sorts of guild abominations to rise up, to plague and hunt us for what he thinks we must have done to him. Was a time we got ordered to hunt them things near extinction, free the trade routes from old Brine's tyranny. Even so, not a sailor worth his salt who won't sacrifice a lousy deckhand or two by light of the full moon just to keep that overgrown crab slumbering in the Oriath trench. If he's risen again, you bet your bloody ass we're all buggered.
We're all buggered. So, let's have a quick check in town. Empty our pockets, but also have a chat with people. I don't think Sin will respond to this. Nope, he won't. He's more focused on the gods, but not sure if Lily's gonna have some dialogues around this. Nope. Pistol.
Composing that poem about you. You've the deck of the mighty Black Crest under your feet, and old Waylon himself to man the helm. Well, I'll be a pirate's monkey, mate. You sure do know how to travel in style, Exile.
I remember there's being something about Lily not knowing about it.
Greetings.
So I won't be the one to tell her. And no one is gonna suggest that either. But that's convenient. That means we can just move on and kill ourselves a Brine King. It's a level 50 area. I am 53 by now. With a bit of luck, we might scrounge up another half level in experience to hit the next one. And there's some brine vessels. They look straight out of some kind of Cthulhu mythos story. Okay. Most of the time you have to end up somewhere in the top right. So let's do our best to find a way there. Oh, okay, so this is the one map that actually curves to the left side rather than the right side. Okay, a combination of tar and frostbolts definitely means that movement is gonna be a challenge in some of these fights if you're a meleeer. Having a efficient movement skill that allows you to teleport rather than walk will definitely help you out. Also, it seems like heading up on the map definitely is not going to be happening. What would we need predictable directions for, right? Let's just go off in any random direction. It is the sea after all. For all we know, that pirate might have just dropped us off on the other side of the reef. He's a pirate. Can't really trust him to be reliable every time you encounter him, right? Okay. Animated reef, those are just golems. Nice touch though. Finding a way to add golems to the area. So the fight with the Brine King will involve a large amount of water damage. There's going to be some cold damage basically. There's going to be some lightning damage. And there's going to be a bit of a physical damage component to that fight as well. Fire is the one thing. Fire and chaos are the two things that they that specific fight does not really bother with, or does not bother with at all. But of course we had Aberoth as effectively a fire elemental, and we had Erislava as the representative of poison. So in the entirety of Act 6 we have seen all the different elements come by, and the message there is make sure your resists are maxed. Or for chaos at least, make sure that your resists are not negative. And even if they are, then well, you take more damage. And of course we know that after we defeated Chevron, Sin did say that our next target would be Inquisitor Malagaro. And from Act 4 we do remember him to be relatively aligned with Chaos as well. I think we'll put this one on hold for now. The castman damage taken, keeping it at a threshold of 1000 life, that's good enough for now. That's about a third of our life. Would be nice to just increase our life a little bit more before we increase that one further. Just to keep it triggering often enough. I mean, our energy shield is only 1100. Once we hit 1300 we can add another level to it. Also means I do have to keep my level of the Bone Offering and Desecrate under control. Well, Desecrate is now locked by Dexterity, but Bone Offering is int based and int is my primary stat, so that's not going to be too much of an issue. So with a bit of luck we're going to run into the unique of the area. If we're not that lucky, then the unique of the area is simply going to be the boss fight. Because I really don't remember whether there was a unique here or not. But given that most areas do have a unique of the area, it would be a little bit weird if this one did not have it. And what most stands out to me about this area is, on the one hand, that everything just seems to want to slow you down a lot. And on the other hand, it feels very long, because at this point all I want to do is get to the Brine King fight. And then there's this big reef area that's in between me and the Brine King. And on top of that all the enemies slow you down. So it just feels doubly as long as you want it to be. See, that's just water. Whereas the area before the Kitava fight in Act 5, that was the rooftops. They are relatively straightforward, they're just going in one direction and you're just weaving around the walls for a little bit, but it always feels like you're just going somewhere and it is finite enough. And there is the exit. This area, I don't know, it's just not as pleasant, I suppose, as the rooftops. But either way, we have managed to make it to the Brine King's throne. Nearly level 54, so the boss is gonna be our level up. Let's do this. Hello,
So
Merville.
courageous. Such a fine example of womanhood. I simply knew you wouldn't disappoint me. Or my husband. You see, His Majesty could never be satiated on his wedding day by one bride alone. Thank you, my new sister. I shall always treasure your company.
Hello, she got eaten by the Brine King, Tsogoth. It's got a lovely little shell of water. It's like a molten shell, but then with bubbles. And there's Merveil, and I keep calling her Merveil, but of course it's not Merveil, it's Nessa. Mermaid Nessa. Well, good thing is I'm not a meleeer in this case, so in this stage I can actually try to do some damage here. Well, no, there's no doing damage because there's not even a health bar anymore. But we can put more skeletons on the floor. And here we can do the damage. Keep in mind that all this area damage and the additional crab stuff that keeps walking in, they definitely hurt your wither totem. And the lightning strikes keep hammering down in an arena that seems to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Good thing is I do have a bunch of minions, so they're going after him, so he doesn't go after me. That helps. But Sin has had his fill of a major god now. So let's have a listen.
And thus the Lord of Salt and Scale sinks to feed the fishes that flit amongst the ruins of Soartha. Come and jest of his divine juices while they are all washed away.
Our first major soul. Soul of the Brine King, you cannot be stunned if you've been stunned or blocked a stunning hit in the past 2 seconds. They changed it, didn't they? I believe it used to be you can't be stunned if you've been stunned recently, and you can't be frozen if you've been frozen recently, and now it's just stun only. The capture Champion of Frost it used to be built into the major power. But in all fairness, if this were a node on the skill tree, I probably wouldn't spend a skill point to pick it up. On the other hand, it does give you stun lock prevention. So for a build that is more vulnerable to getting stunned and stunned repeatedly, this might be very, very helpful. So it's more of a chaos inoculation thing, I suppose. So Sin probably doesn't have anything more to say. Nope, he doesn't. Waylenbroth.
How did you? You're still breathing. Bloody barnacles on me arse. You, my new friend, are a legend of the high seas to behold. I tell you what, I've already done my bit getting you here, but if you're looking to sail on to Frisia, me and the Black Crest would be honored to take ya.
So we got ourselves transportation to Act 7.
Hold on to your cockles, me hearty. The sea betwixt here and Frisia be the most ill-tempered there is. Here's hoping you've as much steel in your gizzard as you seem to in your heart. Cast off!
And that takes us to the bridge encampment in Act 7. Which of course is the bridge where Creighton used to hide back in Act 3. Okay, not gonna talk with anyone just yet, that's what we're gonna do next episode. But what I am gonna do is go back to Lionel's Watch and just double check that nobody has any more morsels of lore to share. Because of course they're probably happy we killed the Brine King, and of course they ought to be.
The Black Crest, she lives again! And me granddaddy. Still can't believe Mervale did that to him. The bilesome bitch. At least his spirit roams free once again. Wonder if he'll come and visit his favourite granddaughter one more time. Anyways, with the Brine King gone, you've done a fine thing for us seafarers. The waters won't no longer pander to the whim of an overgrown, bloody crustacean. And damn me if I don't feel a stirring in me loins. It's the ocean. Calling. Like a lust-starved lover. But for now, bugger it all. I'll be sticking about Lionel's Watch until I get me a new ship. Oh, don't feel sorry for me. With me womanly wiles as sharp as they are, I'll be having Tarkley help me pass the time. Just you see.
Okay.
Clearly the old Brine King wasn't worth his salt. A fish out of water, if ever there was. But, I suppose, as someone wise once said, you can't teach a crab to walk straight. Too much. Yeah, be honest with you. All this fishy mirth is me just swimming around a tricky topic. Nessa. She's not coming back to us, is she? Can't say I'm surprised. What with everything she's been through, what she's become. I wish her all the happiness she can find out there in the sea. More than she could muster on this God's awful land of ours.
Tarkley.
I'd hoped for a chance to see Nessa again. Dreamed it like some poor bloody child believing in fairy tales. No, she's not one of us anymore. But at least she's not like Mervale either. Can't overlook a mercy like that. Who knows? Perhaps Nessa is better off this way. Not like this is much of a home to come back to anyway. Look, I know you did what you could. And for that, you'll always have my thanks. Farewell.
Okay, with that, we conclude Act 6, Lionel's Watch, Take 2. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time in Act 7. Bye bye.